Watch Who?
Hello, and welcome to Watch Who, a Doctor Who podcast. I'm Mark.
I'm Sarah.
And I'm a Doctor Who fan.
And I'm new to Watching Who.
Yeah, watching for the very first time.
Very first time.
Yes, and it's... it's the beginning of a new season.
Can you believe we're at 9?
It's season 9. I completely forgot. This is the first episode of season 9.
I can't believe I'm at 9.
Are you still feeling okay about going through Doctor Who?
About what I'm doing, what I've committed my life to? Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I'm here. I'm doing it.
You join us, listener. We're at a lovely country house, actually. Sir Reginald's house. It's like the Downton Abbey of Doctor Who, I feel. We got some cheese and wine.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
Shall I pour you some vintage?
I love that for me. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Very relaxing. Very nice to start. And we are expecting some guests. I think... Oh, what's that noise? What's that spacey, timey, futuristic noise? I think there's some people materialising before us.
It's hopefully not ghosts.
Well, I don't know. Oh, it's David and Richard.
Hello. Hello.
So you come from the future. How was your journey?
No complications.
I knew you were going to say that.
He knows me so well.
We're only here for the Gorgonzola, to be honest. Yeah. So we'll take that and run.
So you come 200 years from the future. Brilliant.
I've had a bit of a journey, haven't I? I started off on the web planet. Then I've gone on to that, whatever the Dominator is now, and I'm 200 years in the future.
You didn't send me a postcard from any of them as well.
Yeah, so David, last time it was on Daleks, wasn't it? And we had them curtains, and you're back again to talk about a favourite episode.
No. For some people, I'm sure, but not for this fan over here.
Okay. And welcome, Richard, to the podcast. So you are new to Who in a way?
Newish to Who-ish, really. So I was a big fan of New Who when it came out. So 2005 that was. I was of the prime 12, 13 age for that. But I knew about Who before that. So my brother was a big fan. And he had some toy Daleks. He had some Dalek pictures he'd done. So I grew up near Hastings. And there was a shop on the seafront there, which was a Doctor Who shop, which had a big Cyberman outside of it.
Oh, Mark, that sounds like your dream.
Yeah. I'd be surprised if you hadn't ever been to it. But every day when we drive past, there'd be a Cyberman waving at us. And I suppose in our subconscious, we were going, well, what the hell is that?
That was an out-of-work Cyberman.
That was, yeah.
The career was over for him.
Yeah. But so I've always sort of been aware of Who, and I was a big fan of it when it came back, although I'd never watched it before. And I sort of watched it for good, obsessively for a good number of years, dropped off as I got older, but then that's when I started to become aware of the older stuff. So my first ever old classic Who I watched was one called The Caves of Adrazzani.
So that's a good one to start off on.
It's a good one to start with. Sarah will know nothing about that, and I won't say anything more. But I started strong, and then over the years, David's been introducing me to the not so strong stuff as well.
And then you've ended up here with Day of the Daleks.
Yeah. So you could say it was all worth it.
But this is the first time you've seen Day of the Daleks.
This was my first time and potentially last.
Okay, well, that's interesting. We've got a good mix of different viewpoints here today. This will be very interesting because we have no idea what Sarah thinks. Sarah, you watched via BritBox, didn't you?
Yeah.
So you've watched the special edition.
Yeah, maybe that helped.
And we've all watched the original. So that wasn't the plan. I was explaining that you were going to watch the original with me, but you got a bit wet in the day.
In a rainstorm, basically.
We heard you got too wet.
We just heard you got wet, and we didn't want to ask anything more, really.
I just explained it as that.
Of course you did. Of course you did. Marked innuendo central without even knowing. No, yeah. I got caught in a load of rain, and I was just really, wet. He's correct. And I was like, I just want to go home and get changed. and be in warm clothes. So we're recording like online. That wasn't the plan. We've watched separate. That wasn't the plan. My cat's having a crazy. That wasn't the plan. So I apologize if you get like moaning Myrtle in the background here. So
it's a great start to season 9, all told.
Yeah. Well, and David, you chose. I mean, we were talking about which Third Doctor episode to talk about, and you chose Day of the Daleks. So, what was the reasoning behind that?
I sort of requested this one because this is a story over age that I hate more and more after watching it. As a kid, I absolutely loved this story. I remember watching it on VHS. In fact, people can't see this at home, so this is going to make a great podcast. But there's a video cover here of the original Day of the Daleks. And actually on the cover, there's 7 Daleks. Whereas in reality for the program, there's only 3. And I'll go into it more when we discuss it. But the more I watch the story, the more I don't like it.
It's a weird one because it was out on video very early on, wasn't it? It's one of the first ones. This one's a cash converters one for me. £3 from cash converters as bargain. So that always springs to mind. And it was unedited. They didn't put them in episodes, did they, early on? So you just got the feature length version. Then it got re-released a couple of times, I think, with episodes, and then out on DVD with this special edition as well. So I feel like it's one that people have watched a lot just because it came out on video early on.
When I was very little, when I started getting into Doctor Who, I thought every Doctor Who story had the Daleks in. This was one of the only few that I actually watched as a kid because I was like, it's Daleks, I want to see it. And yeah, so the older I get, the more I'm just like...
Well, that happens, doesn't it? You watch something a lot as a kid, it's a comfort blanket for you. You watch it again as an adult, and you start to see the flaws in it, and it's just a disappointment almost. So
Sarah, just generally, are you saying that you like this one?
I didn't think it was that bad. And I do not like the Daleks. Like, let's stipulate that out. I really do not like the Daleks. I didn't mind it. And maybe it's because it's the first time I'm watching it. You know, like when you watch something for the very first time, it's like, sorry, it's like you just take a lot of it at face value and you just go with it. But, you know, you guys have obviously, I know you've watched it for the first time, Richard, but like, you know, definitely.
First time. Yeah.
What's interesting though is, because obviously you've watched the special edition, you didn't have to hear the atrocious Dalek voices that always talk like this, and there is no break in any of the dialogue. And then you've got the South African Dalek, who's like a lower Dalek like that. And that's the other reason I don't like this story, is because the Daleks sound ridiculous. I mean, that's the thing on the special.
Noticed that, so maybe that was it.
But Sarah, you've got the new version where they've done the voices. You see.
So yeah, that must be it, because they didn't frustrate me as much. There was a point when I was watching it, and I thought it was almost modern day. Like, it had a good pace to it. It didn't feel like I was watching something old, and maybe it's because they had, like, you know, the special effects and stuff like that made it feel not like I'm watching now, but it didn't feel as old. And I was like, maybe it's a season 9 thing as well. I don't know.
Well, let's go through the story, go through the notes, and we will discuss as we go through. So we start off in this lovely country house. Does anyone want to eat wine and cheese before we start?
I always want to eat wine.
Have a bit more. I'll hand it round. There we go.
Do you have any Wensleydale?
Oh yeah, tons.
It's Stilton though.
And we have Sir Reginald Styles, possibly a distant relation to Harry Styles. I don't know, maybe. His grandfather or something. And yes, this person from the future comes through, and it's quite a good opening.
You're forgetting one thing though.
What, Miss Paget?
Miss Paget, yes.
Hello, I'm Miss Paget.
You will be sure, but nobody disturbs you, won't you?
Yes, the secretary.
Yes, no, Miss Paget,
Very
her
moment.
fantastic suits of multicolours. Yes.
She's no Miss Hawthorne, but you know.
Now, I
she's
listened.
Miss Hawthorne.
I listened to your latest episode of The Demons just today, and I did watch The Demons a few weeks ago. And David had told me I would love Miss Hawthorne. She was all right.
Everyone loves Miss Hawthorne.
We've got time for on today's podcast.
I'm going to go now. Never coming back in.
And then we've got the Doctor and Joe, and the Doctor's working on the TARDIS again. And that reminds me very much of season 7, where he's already got Ambassadors of Death, and where there's him and Liz working on the console. I'm not really a fan of those kind of scenes.
I think the reason I don't like this story, and this is a great moment to talk about it, is I feel it's very badly directed, to the point of it's lazily directed. I'm no Ridley Scott. I'm going to say that now. But I can tell when something isn't well directed, and the amount of times that the camera just zooms in and zooms out and fades and stuff. And that's a prime example of, in that scene, there was no effort made whatsoever, and it does seem a lot of like, stick the camera there, do your lines. Like, there's no creativity in any of the shots.
They've got that yellow background, which is obviously like the CSO. Blue, yellow, whatever, and they haven't bothered to do anything. It really always stands out to me that they've left this yellow. Sarah, did you have a yellow background?
I
They do. Maybe they got rid of
no.
that for the dish. They probably fixed everything for your version. But
Yeah, I've got like the best version. I'm like, this is all right.
You've been watching the wrong version all this time.
Yeah.
you know when this other Doctor and Joe turn up at the beginning, there's the doubles of them. Did they have a yellow background?
I don't. Oh, maybe they did. It didn't feel like in your face yellow though.
So I watched the documentary before doing this, and they were all saying about how the director wouldn't take any notes or anything, and it was all very much his way or no way. And the actor who played Shura talked about how in that final scene where he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna, not this time." He was trying to make it all really dramatic, and the director was just like, "Nah, get on with it, just say the lines." And you can really tell in this story that it just seems like no effort whatsoever was made to make this feel epic.
I mean, considering it's like the start of a season, it's been a long time since we've seen the Daleks. You'd want, like, I don't know, some sort of big grand, we're back, sort of thing. And I feel like, and maybe it's just because I've had like the special edition, so I've had a boosted version. It feels like the story has the potential for it.
I felt like there was a much more interesting story going on that just wasn't explored. This whole idea, I mean, we're jumping around a bit already, but this whole idea about coming back from the future to assassinate someone, what the repercussions of that, should you do it? The whole sort of concept of, would you travel back in time to kill Hitler, that kind of thing. And that just didn't really happen. They didn't delve into it anywhere. They just decided that it was more interesting to have the Daleks in, and Star Trek as well. So, I know what you mean. Especially the first 2 episodes I found were just a lot of characters sitting and waiting for stuff to happen.
It's a great story. It's a great sci-fi story on its own. Take all the Doctor Who elements out. Yeah, it's the production that lets it down for me.
And I think that's a shame because, as you say, it's actually a very interesting story, but it just feels like that there was absolutely no effort made whatsoever to make it as epic as it could have been, which the special edition does very well.
Well, so UNIT are organising another peace conference, as they always do now. That's what they do. I don't know why UNIT always end up having to do it. It's not a UNIT thing. I don't know why they do that.
Why was it in the 80s we were all about peace conferences? Like,
Band-Aid, that's why.
there seems to be so many peace conferences. I'm like, I mean, maybe I just didn't pay enough attention in history, but like, I didn't feel there was that many wars about to happen.
But this
when they consider these peace conferences, maybe that's
not that
why.
we know of, not that they told us.
But in this conference, they missed a trick. They could have had Chin Lee from Mind of Evil coming back as a delegate. They could have had Bill Filer representing the Americans. That would have been cool. Corporal Bell just helping out. They could have had all those.
Move
Mary
on.
Mary Ash pop in to do the catering.
Move on. Like Edith all over again. Move on.
They could have booked Edith. She could have used the kitchens there at Downton Abbey. It would have been amazing. Anyway.
Talking of Corporal Bell, she should have been the woman who was at in the unit when all that noise went off. That should have been Corporal Bell.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Yeah.
I might have remembered her.
I didn't remember her either, don't worry.
Okay.
No, there's a more iconic person coming up, but we'll talk about her when she arrives.
As the story unfolds, we see an Ogron, our first monster of this season. Well, Sarah, what are your thoughts on the Ogrons?
They're all right. they're cool. They're different. They didn't look tacky in like a Silurian. You can see the zipper on the back way. Sensorites.
So, well, both.
I thought they were all right. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we've had worse in colour. We've had just weird arms. These moved. The movement to them. I'm not sure if they were particularly scary or like, I didn't feel like, ooh, what's that? But I was a bit like, okay, new monster. That's all right. Look at that head.
Well, we go forward in time. We see this.
Oh, that's a lie. Sorry, that's a lie.
Oh God.
And there we have the title for the episode.
Anyway, so we go forward in time and we meet the controller, and we have our spacey set.
It was very Star Trek to me. I had to look up when Star Trek was, and it was before this. I liked it though. I did.
It's all green and silver. Everyone's a bit silvery shiny. I'm not sure if that's the best look.
Well, you've got the women in the background playing their consoles like a theremin, just busy working.
Yeah. Dusty Springfield in the back.
It's the best move. Now, are they better than Control Unit Woman from Ambassadors of Death?
No.
I will stand by Control Woman. What's her name? I don't even know. I will stand by
Control Woman.
I've even put that in my notes. I put iconic, but no Control Unit.
They obviously knew that she was going to be so popular. Like, God, we've got to get some more characters in like that. Get the ride on that train.
Maybe they're future relations of Control Unit Woman. That's her whole family there. They've learned how to do the control unit.
Yeah, the two is one.
They do.
My grandmother before me was a control woman.
Yeah.
But I want to be on the stage. No, your family tradition is you're a control unit woman.
I got very confused as a kid watching this because the controller is the Candyman from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
The Candyman can.
Because when I was young, I never understood when watching Doctor Who if actors appeared in other things. I never understood why. I was about 3 or 4. Can I just say it wasn't like
yeah. We'll
23, 24.
Yeah. It was 3. I wouldn't understand why the Candyman from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory was in Day of the Daleks. I couldn't fathom it. But I do think he's very over the top in this. He's very theatrical. He wants to be heard in the back of the stalls, kind of.
So he would have done that film before Day of the Daleks, wouldn't he? Yeah.
Who can take a sunrise?
Who can take a sunrise?
The Candyman can.
Because he mixes it.
Candyman
makes
can.
The world taste good.
This is going to be so out of sync.
When I was watching it, I always think of the golden ticket one. I've got a golden ticket. I got a golden Dalek.
Anyway, sorry. So the controller.
We're a Doctor Who podcast. So.
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed the controller's performance. Because I found a lot of the rest of the episode quite bland, I just enjoyed the slightly over the top elements of it.
But what you don't know is how lucky you are that they didn't get rid of you straight away.
They tried to kill the Doctor.
He's still with them, is he? This friend of yours?
Yes, they're holding him prisoner.
Then I am afraid he is in very grave danger.
He was I found him quite fun, and I enjoyed the sort of the campness of his all green sort of zip up Velcro. You said it looked like a Brillo pad kind of setup.
It did. It looked like the material you'd have for a Brillo pad.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you think...
Hang on, sorry, Mark.
Sorry.
I just want to put my feminist hat on for a minute. Puts it on. This is the first time where I noticed for a long time that Doctor Who and women are just in this one role and are just typecast in this one way. Aka unit control woman, like they're just this thing, and they're all, if you're gonna have a woman or if you're gonna have someone stood at a desk, it's a woman. She's probably blonde and she has no personality. The only one that broke through the barrier is unit control woman because she stared you down the camera,
Hang on, but what about Anat, the army woman from the future? It's a good role for a woman.
Oh, yeah. The other women, I mean, look, throughout all these episodes, but if you're going to have, a spaceshipy thing, it's just like a general typecast thing that I've noticed in the last season or so.
You're right. You've got the world ruled by men and the women are there in the background to support them and hand them a phone ever so often.
But we do have, are we talking... Okay, this might be proving your point, Sarah. Which woman are we talking about? Are we talking about the one that speaks a bit later on?
Because
she gets lines.
Well,
Because she the control unit woman. Because she's a bit. Is she sort of spying on the controller? You think she's.
Also, considering they're supposed to be humans, why is she shiny? Like, she's got gold shimmer all over her face, like you said.
Well, I feel like they're a bit sort of brainwashed by the Daleks, or they're. I got a feeling that they were somehow hypnotized or something.
I'm secretly hoping the actress is still alive, and so we can meet her at a convention at some point.
Oh my god! Control unit women reunion.
That's a thing.
They all need to have a console with them so they can show off their techniques.
You have to go
did you
up to
press
the
yours like
console
that? I pressed mine like this.
You used the T430 for that program, yes? But I mean, to Sarah's point, I also noticed in the credits I think it must be Theremin Woman was girl technician. And she was a girl. I thought,
and it was
70s, do better.
Unit operator, wasn't it? It was the other
unit
lady.
operator's fine.
Oh,
Clothes watch. Let's talk about Joe.
Clothes watch.
Oh, Joe's outfit.
It looks like
she's got little cowboy boots on. She's got a western-like shirt. It's a really short thing. I'm like, love, you're in the army. I'm not saying she needs to be like army. We've had this conversation. I like that I don't know. It's just, it plays to the whole like sexy assistant role.
Yeah, beginning of her second season, they've forgotten she's not wearing that sort of trouser suit that she had at the beginning as a unit member. Yeah, that's just gone now.
And she can flirt with the men and bring out food and drinks for them. And
Liz Shaw would never have done that.
No.
She would have just solved everything before the episode. There would be no season because she would have just solved it all.
I really did notice as well and I didn't like it, was the dynamic between the Doctor and Joe. It was he's very dismissive of her.
That's what I think.
Patronising of her as well. And I hadn't noticed, I'd sort of only seen a few other Joe episodes and I'd never really noticed it before. But it almost made me a bit uncomfortable at some point because I was sitting there thinking, why is Joe putting up with this? She's getting nothing out of it. She's only travelled, once so far?
Yeah.
All she's getting is basically peril. Other than that, like, why is she still here?
There was the line, wasn't it, where he said, "Oh, I should keep when they've been locked up," and he says, "Oh, I should keep your mouth shut because it would just be endless questions or something like that." And you're like, "Oh, all right."
And there's that line at the end where they're trying to get everyone out of the house, and there's like, "Right, Brigadier, do this." Like, Yates, do this or whatever, and it's like, Joe, stay there, don't do anything.
Make some tea.
I know, but that's it. She might as well. Yeah, I think you notice it more because it's only her. The others don't count in the same way. They're not with him in the same contact. But because I think if it was like maybe a male, he might be dismissive to both of them. But because it is just Joe, like it's all on Joe. Like the infamous coffee scene is a prime example of her just being completely dismissed.
But do you still like Joe, Sarah?
Yeah, I don't not like Joe. In the same way that, like, other than Polly, we won't go down that road. Other than Polly, generally, I like all the female characters. I don't appreciate how the writers portray them and how they're in that sense. But
a lot of Joe's stories, she is the only woman. There are no female guest actors. I mean, there's a few in, like, you got Miss Hawthorne and Gail Platt, but in a lot of those stories, it's just her. And and I would say even in this one, really, because there are and there's Annette.
Anat, yeah.
Annette, but I mean, even then, like.
But then, she bears the brunt of any male character in that case because you haven't got. Sounds as bad as it is. You haven't got other women for it to be spread out amongst.
No, and actually, Annette, whoever you are, love, like that could have been a male. There is nothing about that role that's female. What was, and I'm really going back, but do you remember when we had the villain female? What was her name? I want to say it was on series 3 or 4. Blonde.
Marga.
Thanks, David. Marga. Like, she was amazing to the point where I was like, I could not imagine a man playing that. That even, I think you said at the time that it was a man originally and then they changed it to women. I could not even imagine a man playing that because she like made it so of a woman. And Annie, like she just, it could have been a man. There was nothing distinct about it other than I thought she was good. I thought she was really good. I just didn't think there was anything.
It felt a bit like she was filling the quotes of, we need another actress.
Yeah.
She was the leader, though. She was the leader, wasn't she, out of them three?
Yeah, but
you have the other
only
leader.
in terms of status. But like as the story went on, like when they're explaining, that other guy was doing just as much. She just felt part of the gang.
I will say that I do think of acting performances was the best one. I do find that a lot of the other performances were not great or not very interesting, and at least I believed her. Whereas a lot of the other characters in this, I was like, you're clearly just saying some lines.
And maybe it's because she had more to prove, because she's like the only woman other than Jo who's a regular. I mean, the other, like we say, there are other women there, but they're just on the spaceship.
With the controller, I thought do you think he was sort of a good character, sympathetic character? I sort of felt sorry for him towards the end. He's not like a villain.
He's pushed into a corner. He's, in a way, how are you going to fight against the Daleks?
Yeah, exactly.
Trying to survive.
Yeah, it's a dog-eat-dog world kind of thing.
I kind of just felt sorry for him. And you could tell as it, the more of the Dalek chat conversation we're having, you could tell that like he didn't really believe it. He's only doing it to stay alive. I thought it was quite good. Like,
but you see, I'm going to be like the bitch of Eastwick here, but I actually didn't because I find that performance so annoying that actually I have no sympathy for him by the end. Really, every time he appears, I'm just like, oh, just like I just think it's such a theatrical performance, and I just think it doesn't fit with a story like this.
I think he's a bit creepy. I think he's playing it. Is he trying to play it creepy and a bit?
He can't even die properly.
So what was your death like? No, sorry. I mean, like, how did it look for you guys? Because mine, I got like the whole skeleton and stuff. And
we had a very strange effect. It was all white.
Yeah. It did look like he shat himself a little bit, I will say, because he kind of pulls quite a funny face, but then sort of doesn't really. I mean, if someone gets exterminated, I want screaming hands in the air, like a bit over the top. I don't just want someone to sort of go, ugh, and then just fall down completely. I want to, yeah.
You got to get that balance, haven't you, when you're exterminated? Yeah.
Mine, he was sort of like, he sort of went up, but it was like a boo, and then you saw like his whole skeleton, and it lasted for quite a while.
To be fair,
like compared to normal, like, poo, you're dead. It was kind of like a poo, skeleton.
Another thing that really annoyed me, I'm just going to say what really annoyed me, really, because I'm only saying this because we haven't mentioned it because it's before this, was every cliffhanger in this story is the Daleks. Yet we see the Daleks because you have that bit where he turns around and it goes, report. And so I don't understand why it's such a shock.
The story is called, it's got the Daleks in the title. You know the Daleks are going to be in it. It would have been so much better if it was a surprise after so long to actually, because when you first see it, it's like at the back and it's like one line and it's like, oh, but I'm like, but I don't know why I'm saying ooh, because I knew they were going to be in it. It's just been a while. It would have been
that was my exact feeling as well. And I completely get why they would have called it Off the Daleks, because they're getting viewers in. Everyone loves the Daleks. Call it Off the Daleks, you get people watching. But yeah, there was the story was acting like we didn't know, and then it reveals them in some sort of great coup de force, and you think, oh, okay, fine, we knew this anyway. Yeah. I'm jumping a bit, but I would have found it much more effective if the first time we saw the Daleks was at the end of that second episode.
You like that?
I really like that cliffhanger. There was no need to have seen them by that point. They had served no purpose whatsoever.
Yeah, the first episode, it's like literally like 3 seconds, and it's the back of one, just like there. You see, if you know the Daleks, you know that's a Dalek, But you already know they're going to be there. It's in the title.
And every this isn't really a spoiler, I would say, but lots of stories are called of the Daleks, and 9 times out of 10, the episode 1 cliffhanger is going to be a Dalek, and you kind of think, like in some situations it works quite well. Like Evil of the Daleks is quite a nice surprise that Dalek appears in the back of an antique shop because you don't expect a Dalek to appear. But in this, like I said, you see a Dalek for 3 seconds and then suddenly it's a big surprise that they're there. And it doesn't quite work.
But the Daleks overall in this are not, well, they're not utilised very well. They are in the background quite a lot. And we haven't seen the Daleks since Evil of the Daleks. That's like, 5 years? Something like that. Their first colour appearance, it's more like this is what we remembered the Daleks in the 60s to be. It feels like this production team are like, well, we've never done the Daleks before. How do we do it? They're not shot very well. They don't sound very good. And they don't need to be there at all. It's not this, it should be an epic comeback for them.
And there's only 3.
Yeah, they only used 3. Yeah. I think Sarah, I think you had a few more in your special edition, but there are only actually 3.
I might have done, because there's definitely 3 whenever they're doing the talking.
Well, one's gold. That's something.
Yeah, they look cool in colour.
I quite liked the design. I suppose if I were thinking of being an audience member in the 70s, I would have been quite amazed to finally see the Daleks in colour. So that's something. But you're right, Mark. They're completely superfluous to the plot. I mean, I suppose the idea is that they're meant to be in the background because they've been controlling the Earth for the last 200 years or whatever it is. Again, if you're having them hidden in the background, you don't then just show them randomly with no real reason to destroy any kind of suspense.
Well, I was going to say, they always mine. I've just realised that today. They always have a mine. Wherever they are, they have humans mining for them. They should invent some mining equipment.
You should have a pickaxe and some guns. It'd be much more useful.
How many stories do they mine? There's loads. And there's loads coming up where they mine.
Spoilers.
Sorry. Yeah. Well.
Oh, yes, the mining trilogy. It's a great one when you get there.
That's a great, minings of the Daleks. It's so good.
We said, didn't we, that if the Daleks had not been in this, what would it have been called?
Oh,
we thought Assassination from the Future or something like that.
Yeah.
But really, Day of the Daleks, you came up with that, actually, so you should take credit for that.
Day of the Daleks doesn't actually make any sense. No. I mean, for a start, it's set across multiple days, so... it just feels like they wanted Of the Daleks, and it's like, well, we can stick that in. That'll be fine.
If I was going off that title, I would have presumed they were going to be right towards the end, and it was some sort of really big moment. Building up, and actually the big boss is them, and it's like their moment, the Day of the Daleks, and actually they've been there a while.
You think like Independence Day or something? So Benton and Yates in this, they're not in it as much as they have been, but it's nice that they are in it because we like Benton and Yates now, don't we?
I was really worried they were going to die. When the Daleks were like killing, I was like, oh my God, what if you got Benton and Yates? Or what if those other people like shoot one of them? Like I genuinely was worried that something was going to happen to one of them.
We did have a bit of a revelation in this story, though. We found out Yates is an alcoholic. Did you see how he downed that red wine? That was a big glass.
I mean,
I take Mark saying, "Ha look at him down it."
Well, they all have quite a lot of wine in this. The Doctor has quite a bit. He has some in the past and in the future.
You would think of all of the unit soldiers, it would be Benton, because in the previous story, he had to do the fertility dance with Miss Hawthorne. He got that cloak thrown over him by the Master, which somehow knocked him out. And then in this, he
didn't get a chance though, did he?
Who are we all Team Yates or Team Benton at the moment?
I don't know which one's which, so yes.
Sarah, do you know which one's which?
Yeah, Benton's the lower ranking one, isn't he?
Yeah.
I like Benton because he did the fertility dance with Miss Hawthorne.
Okay.
And any man that's willing to do that is good in my book.
So you've got the Doctor and Joe spending the night in a haunted house. And it's really annoying the way the Doctor's like, oh, it's only the door, it's only the wind. I don't know, it just annoys me the way he says that.
Here's something that annoys me, actually. Because we go, like, it's one. If I just watch it, I'd have been like, okay, fine, move on. But because we're going into it, this annoys me. So we have the scene where the Doctor and Joe appear on the yellow background, like you said. And there is no reference to that at all again. Like, as in, I expected, like, you know, later on they would appear at that point, maybe by accident, and then, like, do you know what I mean? Some sort of reference to it of being.
Apparently, in the original script, that the story was supposed to have ended with the Doctor and Joe ending up as the others, but apparently they cut it due to time. But then somehow they decided to keep the other bit in, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
It doesn't make any, because that's like our reference to ghosts. And then, you know, they're not ghosts, are they? It all makes sense later for actually jumping back and forth in time. But I just thought, well, why do it? Why keep it? It's just so weird. It happens. Joe, we know, has only been in space once before. She's never been in, like, the future or anything in that way. It's just really odd. And they're in the same clothes. So it's obviously of that time. Oh, yeah. I've so many, like...
I know what you mean, though. You are sitting there thinking, this has to come back in some way in the story. Maybe they're going to warn them. Maybe they need to pick something up. And, I mean, maybe it's because I've watched too many Stephen Moffat scripts that I kind of expect everyone to be jumping back and forth. But yeah, I mean, especially because they were wearing the same clothes. It had to happen. Yeah. Like, Jo hopefully was getting out of those clothes as quickly as she could to change into something.
No, I thought it was just there to explain the ghost thing. And that was it. I wasn't expecting them to. I thought it was just filler at the beginning.
Chekhov's Doctor, a bit like Chekhov's gun. I thought it was going to appear again at the end, but no.
No. Well, Jo gets. I'm going to just skip forward a little bit because the Doctor fixes this box, and Jo gets whisked off to the future. Which was, and you know what? She does quite a good acting because actually she's whisked off to the future, and they always do this. She looks a bit travel sick, which you would be if you've been whisked forward in time. I think that's what I look like when I get off like a long journey on a coach or something. I look exactly like Jo does.
Your ear pressure is just like this. Readjusting. Yeah. But Sarah, what did it look like for you? The effect of
I look cool. Mine look really cool and futuristic-y and like lots of colour and like lights.
Okay, yeah, we just had Jo spinning round.
Yeah,
I don't even think Jo moved. I don't remember that being much of a thing on mine.
Okay, well,
when chance that my delivery arrived around the same time.
Was it Jo?
Yeah, it was Jo bringing pizza.
So there's a really clever line in this where Jo meets the controller and he's very nice to her, and he's trying to get information from her, and it cuts because he says, "Oh, you've already told me the year. What is the date?" And if only she'd said the year, we would totally know when all these stories were set and when Unit was set. But they very cleverly avoid saying what year she's come from.
But we know, Mark, already. We've had this discussion.
What year is it then?
It's the 80s, isn't it? We didn't. Do you want the exact year?
Well, we don't know if
70s.
it's the 70s.
It's not the 80s, 70s. It's the 70s because of the hair. We've had this discussion.
Okay. Well, it's
Bill Filer's hair was the one that sealed it.
We did have a lot of long hair moustache combos in this episode as well. I did find
it's Dusty Springfield meets,
tail end of the 60s, early of the 70s. Yeah.
Well, the fashion just comes round. It's just cycled round into the future.
They're clearly wearing Brillo pads in the future.
Well, it means you can do some cleaning while you're there.
Rub up against the Daleks to make them clean.
And we have the Ogrons then back in time, sort of going to the house, attacking the house. And I was thinking, hang on a second, isn't Unit supposed to be guarding this house? Where is Unit whenever all these people are in and out of the house all the time? Where are they?
Well, Unit are a bit shit, aren't they, really?
They are useless. I do enjoy as well. Maybe we've.
Well, we'll just go everywhere. It's fine. Just go
everywhere. The Ogron's voices. The Ogron's voice are hilarious. We had to rewind that a few times where that one had made the effort to go, sound like an Ogron, and then the other one just clearly couldn't care less.
Just talking.
Yeah.
No complications.
Your report?
We found and destroyed the enemy.
That's the line, isn't it?
They really reminded me of I can't remember what they're called, but in H.G. Wells, The Time Traveller. It's a time machine, isn't it? Where he goes back and he's got sort of like early man alien. I don't know what even that was.
They've got a name, haven't they? They've got a name. I can't remember what they are.
Yeah, those kinds of things really reminded me of that. But I did like the design of them. I thought it was quite simple but effective.
Oh, they look good. I just think they should have cast someone a bit better.
But I suppose, actually, they could have had Ogrons, or they could have just gone back to Robo-Men. There's no difference, really. They're just hypnotised sort of servant people, aren't they?
Well, there's servant things that do as they're told.
Yeah.
I agree, though, like, don't give them a line.
You don't need that.
Make it really clear.
And
But
this is what...
sounds like, from what you said with the director, it just sounds like he's like, just say it. I don't care. Like, there's absolutely no thought been put into this at all.
I think you can really tell that, though. I don't know if it's just me, but I just feel like you look at something like The Demons, which is so well shot and directed. It's got lots of, like panning shots, and it was filmed from above the church and like things like that. It feels more creative, whereas this just feels like I said earlier, it's just stick the camera there, say the lines, get on with it. Just
get my paycheck, move on.
I did enjoy the use of when the controller was on the screen to the Daleks, and it cut directly from him to him on the screen. And it was obviously just a blue screen that stuck there, but I did quite enjoy that, and they did use that a few times.
They love a bit of blue screen or yellow. Yeah, you can't not have an episode now without some blue screen, especially in the future.
You can reuse it. That's why.
There's a really nice scene where Joe and the controller have a buffet. We love a buffet. There's some grapes, I noticed.
I noticed that. I love a buffet.
I know.
Buffet's my favourite food. I love buffet.
And they've got them all. And you see later on when the Doctor has food, they're in all these little plastic containers with all, some crisps, I think, and something. And it's like, if you've seen the home edit on Netflix, that's what they do. I love the home edit where everything is kept in plastic containers so you can find it. Obviously, in the future, the home edit is big on. That's what the controller's been watching. I cannot recommend plastic containers enough.
So I went round to Mark's one day. There's this, I'm talking like as the size of me, giant box in the middle of his living room. I went, what have you got? He went, plastic boxes. How many? I've watched this program. They put everything in plastic boxes. It's like the best thing. So that's what I'm doing. So everything is in tiny little plastic boxes everywhere. That's Mark's life.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. That does sound pretty good.
Yeah. And the controller's on it. We should all be on it.
How do you know what's in the boxes, though? You have to write on what the...
No, they're see-through.
That's what makes
it... You've got so many boxes. How do you know what's in them all?
We can see through
really
them.
Stupid at the moment.
You can see through them, like the food, like the buffet controller food. You can see how much is left in the box.
I did like the. I'm guessing they were like the wine bottle as well, and with the big glasses. I'm guessing it was wine or something else, but that was great.
It's massive.
It was such It was a weirdly eclectic set design across the whole episode, because you had this sort of the Star Trek green and silver, and then you had sort of what was almost like a sort of Japanese style dining set with them sitting on the floor. And then you've got Mark's Tupperware there. You've got the Cluedo house back in present day.
Yeah.
So it was a good sort of different use of locations, I thought.
And actually, there's a lot of actual filming outside, location filming for this one.
One thing as well, I feel like I'm just going to shit on everyone's parade.
Do you not like Tupperware boxes, David?
I love a Tupperware box to the point that I've got one with sooty on. Don't judge me. The cliffhangers as well. When they did the reprise, they played the cliffhanger again. I don't know if they did that in the special edition.
That.
And I got really... again, it's just shown like lazy editing and just like lazy... I don't really know what my point is, really. I'm just saying it's very late.
I'm surprised they let that through. I know what you mean, though. With the music, they play the music again, don't they?
Yeah, so the episode will start again, and then they'll do the cliffhanger, but then they'll play the music again, and then it will go like boom, 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 boom.
It's done ad verbatim rather than just making it into a new scene that carries on.
Yeah.
So you just have an awkward transition of the cliffhanger music just stops and you carry on. Or just go to a new scene in some cases.
Except in the last episode when they had that banging song, didn't they? Do you remember the cliffhanger to episode 3 where they're shouting, "You will be exterminated"? And I don't know about the special edition, but they repeat, "You will be exterminated" so times it turns into a bit of a banging sort of tune. And, "You will be exterminated. You will be exterminated," and it just kind of goes on forever.
I might go back and try and listen for that.
Yeah. It's on the original, and then it goes into the theme tune. But I think carry on like that. Put a few, drums in.
Keep it going, yeah.
Yeah,
Season
It's
9.
probably already out there. It's
They're
probably already a track.
In the future.
And the BBC are making a mint off it.
Probably in the future, that's like the dance, when they go out clubbing, the Daleks, that's what they club to.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine Daleks clubbing?
They could do good spins.
Hang on, we will not do that. I will never do that again.
I mean, I know how they're inspired before as well. We're not going there.
Thank God this wasn't being filmed. As
They
a
could
video.
They could have like little disco balls instead of their Dalek bumps.
Yeah,
and then if they
can have
spin,
a
they
light.
catch the light, and then everyone's like, "Woo!"
Yeah.
I want to see like a
that's
really
what I
like
like.
drunk, slutty Dalek.
Yeah, how do Daleks chat each other up? Have you been here before?
That's what they need in that control unit thing. They need some neon lights. The control unit women can have a bit of a dance with a Dalek.
Just right, the disco ball comes down as to the screamers.
No, she's
Daleks only dance with each
Oh, no,
other,
she's the
Mark.
DJ.
She's the
Sorry.
DJ.
She's DJ. They're controlling all the music for the planet. They're like,
So what we didn't see was just outside of that room was actually the rave going on, and we never showed us that.
Yes.
And at the beginning of each time, she'll go, "Sir, this song is for you, sir." And just-
Is it weird that I imagine the music being the YMCA?
No, that's correct.
Da, da, da,
But the Dalek can't do YMCA. They don't have that same
Yes, it
dexterity.
can.
They
He
can't
can
go.
do it with his plungers.
We can do many things with its plungers, but not the YMCA.
shall we get back to the story?
This sounds more interesting.
I just can't believe
I
it.
want at the next
Moving on.
Oscars, Mark, just to say, the next Oscars, I want like a mid award session performance, and it's the Daleks performing the YMCA. Okay?
And I
Think they'd be wearing each of the costumes as well.
yes.
And I think you've got to have girl technician there, on doing the discs.
DJ, yeah.
Sir, this is the YMCA for you, sir.
So anyway, the Doctor gets interrogated.
Are we on the second episode now?
I'm not sure where we are. We've skipped ahead. I'm going to go to the bit where the Doctor's interrogated.
Only the second episode.
No.
I can't believe we're only just there, to be honest.
Hang on.
So the Doctor's interrogated, and then we meet Interrogator Man, and then Mustache Good Interrogator Man. I thought that was a nice extra. I don't like that horrible interrogation man with the weird hat. I thought that he was a bit odd.
Can I ask you a question, Sarah?
Yeah.
Don't worry, it won't be this personal. Did you think that the Master was going to be in this?
No.
Okay.
I didn't. Because he got taken away at the end and he didn't escape or anything, it was like he is gone. And I kind of just felt that like that was the conclusion of his story with this Doctor.
Because when the man with the moustache appeared, I did wonder if you were thinking that might have been the Master just turn up again.
No, I mean, I would genuinely have been flabbergasted if the Master turned up. And I think I would have been annoyed.
If you swapped out the controller with the Master, that would work, though.
No, it wouldn't. Because the Daleks, you have to obey the Daleks, and the Master wants dominance. The reason that, like, the controller, he's just doing as he's told because he don't want to die. The Master doesn't give, like, he wants power, he wants to rule, doesn't he?
I don't know, they could work together. Yeah, okay.
And actually, this is when the Daleks can work with something, I quite enjoy them. When it's just like, we are the best, kill everything, they're a bit, I'm like, ugh, okay, like, get a new tune. But when I like it when the Daleks are a bit clever. Like the one where it was pretending to be good. That was great. I was like, yes, that's proper evil Dalek. Mark's looking confused. It's the one, and then they were making copies of them, but it was
Power
just
of the
pretending to
Daleks.
help them. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Jan
yeah,
Lee.
sorry.
Me?
Oh, yeah, of course. Sorry, Jan Lee. Yeah, yeah.
Me the bit.
Okay.
Oh, Mark.
Well, sorry, I'm just surprised when you remember these things.
Me too. Me too.
You mentioned Galaxy 4 earlier. I can't believe that. That was ages ago.
Sarah, that how it starts. You see, by season 26, you'll be harking back
To Keys and Mariners.
always.
Always. It's not an episode of Too What True if we don't mention Keys and Mariners.
Yes.
So just going through my notes again. So the bit where Joe is screaming for help for the trap, that was quite funny, where the doctor's like, Joe.
Yeah.
She was given a little bit of something to do at least. Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing interesting as well: smoking in Doctor Who. That's something that doesn't happen. The gorillas were having cigarettes and stuff when they were planning the battle. They were.
I didn't notice
they
that, actually.
Maybe they cut that out from the special edition. They don't want any of that anymore. It did really feel like that kind of, the scene in a war film or something before the big push at the end, and they're all sat there, and it's all the quiet before the storm, and it did feel a bit like that.
Except in this, they were in a car park.
Yes, the future is a car park.
Oh my god! Did you see the skip? Someone left a skip.
Yes,
but they
someone
painted
just
it grey.
silver painted it over. Like,
It was
you can
bin
still
day.
use this to get rid of the set afterwards. It's
Yeah.
fine.
I know on the special edition they've changed it and everything, but in the original, the future looks like a block of flats.
Those flats are still there.
Are they?
It's on the
There's
location
flats
thing,
on
yeah.
mine, but it was all really like smoky and green and cool.
No, it was
Yeah.
literally just a block of flats, and they'd done nothing with it.
And a car park.
It was like all high stories, and it looked really cool. And like instant, I was like, "That's the future."
This is what we were saying about another reason why I don't like this story. No effort has been made to make it look like the future. Like there were times where we were sat there going, "Well, are they in the future now, or are they back to?"
We did
present
get
day?
confused as to where they were at times because it looked so similar. There's no distinguishment between it. Distinguishment, that's not a word.
Well, there is a futuristic quad bike.
Yeah, the worst chase ever.
The Ogrons were literally having to just run deliberately slowly so they didn't accidentally catch up with it before they were meant to.
Is this the one where he gets on and pulls the wire on the that just happens to be outside? There just happens to be a quad bike outside. Perfect. Of
Mad
course.
Max, it was not.
No.
Oh, I'll tell you what did annoy me, and it's so pathetic that this annoyed me. So, he's gone into the future, the Doctor. He's just he's hidden from a Dalek. And then he looks and it pans out and there's like a ladder in front of him, right? And there's a light like shining down, which makes you think, oh, light above. And then he climbs up and it's a manhole. So I'm like, well, where's the light coming from? And it really annoyed me. And I get to admit. For a long time, I was like, that makes no sense. There should be a light. He was following a light.
I've never noticed that before.
Well, I did. And it really annoyed me a lot.
That's what
That was like,
this
when you were
episode.
talking about, that was my big grievance of the episode.
Well, here's a positive. When the Doctor's been interrogated, we see a picture of the first and second Doctor. That's nice.
Yeah. Is that the first time that's ever happened? Though they've shown the previous Doctor.
I think so.
I feel like they showed the first Doctor with the second one when they first
When he
met
had the mirror.
Daleks.
When he had the mirror. Sarah, how do you know this?
I was just so what?
By the end of this entire podcast season, they're gonna swap roles, aren't you two?
I had to explain an episode to Mark a few weeks ago. Let's not forget that.
Truly is the end of times.
But you see, this is another thing, that scene. Again, no effort has been made. It's just the title sequence in the background. And
yeah,
the Daleks are shouting exterminate about 4 billion fucking times.
The Doctor's lying down, you've got the picture in the background, and you've got the Daleks. You don't really see much of the Daleks. You only see sort of like their head like popping over the top. It's not shot in a very good way. They're not domineering. They're just like these things because they've got to get so much in the shot. It just doesn't.
They're not very, like you say, domineering. Other than the fact that they've taken over Earth. But I mean, they also like they're quite giving. They let that human live. They let them do things for them. They have other creatures help. I was like, they're here. They've obviously done something that we don't know about.
They're quite parasitic in this episode. They take over the Earth because the Earth is weak, I think, isn't it? They've sort of started the destruction based on that day with the convention. And yeah, they're there, but you don't get a sense that they are their overlords, because we weren't clear if the humanity knew about the Daleks or not, because the Daleks were hidden in their little room, but they weren't exactly hiding themselves when the door opened and closed. And you had sort of the shot of the slaves outside in the car park. And did they know they were being ruled by the Daleks or not? So I never really got a sense of threat from the Daleks. They were just there.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's sort of like a given, like, oh, well, we know, the audience knows the Daleks, so they know that they're bad and they'll be the thing. But actually, just explain it. It's not hard.
That's it.
Write a story.
The Doctor has his typical line whenever the Daleks are in there. He says, "Oh, you've got experience." He says, "Yes, we're all doomed. We're all going to die, whatever it is." But we never see any evidence of that. They're defeated fairly quickly, to be perfectly honest.
So Sarah was just saying that scene with the ladder annoyed her. I tell you what really annoyed me, and I shouldn't have been so annoyed by this. Why did the end credits start coming over the face of the Doctor and the Daleks like that? I don't know why that really infuriated me so much.
I think it might have been because they were showing the graphics for the end credits behind the Doctor's pictures. I almost wonder if maybe they just accidentally, there was an error or something, and it started coming over, bleeding over, because then it just sort of seamlessly transitions into the credits then. But it was a bit. It takes you out of it, doesn't it?
I don't think I had that. I'm just trying.
Oh no, they would have sorted it out for the special edition.
Yeah.
They've had 50 years to sort that out.
Yeah. It annoyed me so much, and I don't quite know why it annoyed me. Maybe just because everything else in this story annoyed me.
Okay. David, is there one? What positives are there in this story?
A gnat. Miss Paget.
Annie.
So basically, the two women of Who were the saving graces.
Yeah, basically.
That's in most stories, let's be honest.
But this isn't like a fan one that's like everybody. It's not down there, is it? It's not like people all think it's all right, don't they? It's not hated.
I think it's a story, this one, that a lot of people watched as kids, like myself, and really loved it, and then watching it again, and they're like, I can imagine as a young kid, you could really enjoy this because it's like the Daleks are back, and it's a big epic fight, and then you watch it as an adult, and you're like, it's 3 Daleks going towards a house. Yeah, no, they're not bothering going that fast. They're taking their time. They don't want to invade. They want to. They might stop over for a little chef on the way to the battle. It's just.
I love a little chef.
Hang on.
I used to call it a little chief.
Little chief.
Oh my god, they used to do really good breakfast, Little Chef. Oh,
it's the lollipops I remember.
Yes. Oh.
Whenever we passed on, I was like, "Can we go to Little Chief? Go get Little Chief." And my mum, like, chef was like, my dad would be like, "Let her call it Chief." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to Little Chief, yeah." And in fact, before I moved to Wales, on my way down, it was one of the few left in the country. There was a Little Chief.
They're gone.
You don't get many now.
You don't get many.
Yeah.
My parents had their very first date at a Little Chef.
Oh.
It was
I hope they
like
could get married at Little Chef in that case.
So this was 49 years ago, and they were like, the hip new thing. And I remember my mum saying their very first date was at Little Chef.
They were great.
Yeah, I loved a Little Chef.
I think they've probably all been replaced by McDonald's. Other fast food restaurants are available. I've just got to get that in there.
We definitely didn't have McDonald's just now, did we?
No.
There's I can't remember. Do you remember when it was around the time? Oh God, we're really going to talk about this now. It's around the time.
Can I just say this is going to be more interesting than Day of the Daleks for me?
If you feel like watching Day of the Daleks, just put on a Little Chef documentary instead.
Well, no, this is it. There was a Little Chef documentary, and it was around the time of Jamie Oliver's. Yeah, it was around Jamie Oliver was doing his like healthy meals and doing the whole turkey twisters and all that. And I think Little Chef were trying to like reinvent. So they got it wasn't long after that because people are like, oh, it's really bad. So they tried to get, and I'm like 90% sure on this chef. I might be another chef, but I'm pretty sure it was Heston Blumenthal that came in.
Yeah.
I'm not
That
wrong.
does ring a bell now. Yes.
And because they were like, we don't have like pans. We have like a microwave and we've got like this. Like they didn't have stuff. So he had to make up like how to make really exciting new meals for the little chef with like no resources. He had like a microwave and he was doing like scrambled eggs in a bag and stuff. And yes, that was the thing.
Can I just say, every time I come on this, I always learn something new. Because last time I didn't know that Daddy Longlegs were poisonous.
Highly venomous, yeah.
And now I know that Little Chiefs don't have any. They have a microwave.
Microwave. I doubt Nigel Lawson's ever stepped in a little chef. Let's be honest.
No.
Well, do you know who's had food from Heston Blumenthal?
You.
Who?
Sir Reginald Styles, obviously.
Mark was trying to get us back to the story.
He's just arriving back. He's just arriving back for the peace conference.
I genuinely thought for a minute you were going to say Carol Ann Ford.
Oh, I bet she's had a bit of Heston's food.
Or
I reckon.
Polly. In fact, what Polly's going to do for her birthday, she's going to stream from Heston Blumenthal's, and you can all watch her eat, and you can pay for a meal. How's that sound?
Just to let everyone know, at the time of recording this, tomorrow, me and Mark, and we're hoping Sarah might come and make a little cameo appearance. Annika Wills is having a birthday party on Zoom.
How much you get paid for that?
£10.
Like, I can't encourage that. I cannot encourage that behaviour. I can't be a part of it. It goes against everything I believe in.
It's like having a birthday, like me saying to Sarah, "Hey Sarah, I've organised a birthday party for you, but I'm going to pay you to come."
It really is. It's so dicky and it's so exploitative, and she didn't give a shit.
Well, we will send her your love when we see her on Zoom tomorrow.
That's the thing, I can't cover my face. Like, I couldn't hide whatever she's doing or saying. My face can't hide that, and I just can't be that dick. It's better me not going. And
next week on the podcast, Mark will tell you how.
Yeah, we're going to tell you everything.
Sorry, should we get back to this?
Anyway, back to the story. So we go back, we end up back, the conference is starting to happen, and I really like the bit where you've got the TV presenter again saying all these people are arriving. That's a nice way of doing it. It makes it feel a bit more epic.
I'm still seething about what's her name. Annika Wells charging £10 for what is essentially quite a free service for people.
Can this go out? Is this allowed to go? Can I? Do I need to edit this out?
Okay. She's here tonight.
Sarah's views on Annika Wills do not represent everybody on this podcast or this podcast. Okay.
Other Annika Wills are available.
I did enjoy in this. I think it must have been the fourth episode.
Anyway, yes, yep. Let's carry on.
Point. I did like that we learned the word quisling, which was used, which means to be a traitor to one's country.
Yes,
it was. I'm going to try and use that one.
Susie Jones got that, is she?
Oh yeah.
I bet Susie Jones know that.
Speaking of Polly, aka Annika Wells.
Happy birthday, you quisling.
Oh my god, I really cannot leave this in.
One thing as well, in episode 4, but Anat says that Boaz has been killed, but where was he killed?
We didn't see it, I'm pretty sure.
Hang on, is he the moustache
made
one?
That presumption.
No, he was the non-moustache one, which narrows it down a bit. Actually.
He was the sort of good-looking-ish one who didn't have a moustache or anything.
Oh, he just disappears
at the end, isn't he? He's the very last one in the house.
There's another.
That's Shura. That's Shura at the end.
God.
Boaz is the one who later appears in Image of the Fendal, which is not spoiling. But yeah, he has that. I think there's a scene where the Dalek gets killed in the car park. What a way to go! And then he just doesn't appear again. And then later on, she goes, "Oh, Boaz has been killed." You're like, but where?
It shows how little care they really put into their characters by that point. We didn't really know anything about the guerrillas other than they were against the regime.
Yeah, and you'd think there'd be a few more of them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there were 3 Daleks, 3 gorillas. It seems fair.
But there was that other gorilla, wasn't there, who came into it and
well, he was sort of the leader of the gorillas. So the blonde guy with the moustache was sort of higher up than a Nat. Then you had a Nat who then had her 2 lads with her.
Sorry, I thought you said a nap. It was higher than a nap.
Yeah, have a nap with a Nat.
That does not offer those services. How dare you?
I'll tell you who would for a tenner. You know how angry I am.
Anyway, we shouldn't have mentioned this. We should not have mentioned this.
I'm taking my slipper off and I'm pulling off all the beads to distract my own anger. That is how,
anyway.
Look, there's like a little collection of them. I'm just like, Annika Wills.
Okay, back to the story. We're talking about the gorillas, yeah.
Can I just say, actually, on the gorillas? So, when were they named that? Who, like we know they're that, but it's sort of presumed, I can't remember what she called. Joe. Yes,
Joe. Joe is in this. Polly is not in this, Sarah. Polly's gone. She's
the
left.
other blonde. What's the other blonde? That's okay. No, I like Joe.
I think they refer to them at the start because they say they're gorillas. I don't think they're not called the gorillas. It's just their guerrilla warfare.
Sorry, Sarah. Do you mean their names or gorillas?
Gorillas.
Yeah, they do. They do mention it. They do say they're gorillas.
Do they? Because I kind of missed that.
No,
I kind of just thought, how is everyone picking up that that's what they're called so quickly? Joe was zapped away, and then since she's the gorillas. It's like, when did she hear that? So I missed that. So
we have the slowest invasion ever. We have 3 Daleks. Obviously, Sarah wouldn't have had this because she watched special. There are 3 Daleks. They're not really worrying, about the conference particularly. And there's a great story. I've written this down because I've got to mention it. Saw John Pertwee being interviewed, and both him and Katie Manning don't like the story. And he said he tells this story about when they turned up for filming at the house, and this ASM or director's assistant came over to John and said, John, the house has been surrounded by Daleks. Every single person is stuck in the house. We can't get them out. The Daleks have surrounded the house. It's your job to save the day. And John Pertwee said, where are the Daleks? Because over there's 2 of them. And they said, well, how do you shoot a Dalek invasion with 2 Daleks? We go, well, it's easy. You shoot the 2 and then you move them around and then you shoot 2 more kind of thing. And again, it doesn't, because it's so lazily done, it just looks it just looks ridiculous. It just looks like they're popping in for a cup of tea.
It does, yeah. Even I can't imagine why they would so believe that he's in that house when everyone else is fleeing it. Are they that stupid that they're like, they're in the house, where are they in the house, where is he? I was just like, they're not that thick.
You came up with a good point that if they'd not had the gold one and just the 2 black ones, that they could have done more of an effort of making it look like there's more, but they don't.
No, yeah, you just have those 3 and move them. Yeah, it doesn't work just moving the camera because it's the 3 in formation. They haven't done it in the right way where they just need to put more effort in to make it look like there's more of them, more different camera angles, different shots. But they don't. Yeah, it's just them slowly walking across the field or just whatever it's called, rolling across the field.
I mean, it felt like, because we were talking about this, it felt like obviously the writer would have come up with the story, presumably in the idea there'd be more Daleks. Then when it became the reality, there were only 3 Daleks. Surely you then think about that's the ending of the story and maybe, have the Daleks sneaking into the house without it needing to be a big invasion. Because Daleks can do a good bit of, skirting around some corridors, being a bit sneaky and under the cover of darkness or something like that. And then at least you can work with the number of Daleks you have rather than trying to augment them.
Or put a line in something saying you 3 will go. No, they can't be trusted. You 3 will go and do this job. Something like that. Because it does make it sound like we're all going. And it's not. It's 3 of them.
Then when we find out that it's all the gorillas' fault, that's a good, well, not a twist. You could, but there's that's a strong moment where I'm going to do my John Pertwee impression. Here we go. Where he says, You're trapped in a temporal paradox. No, that was very good.
Style didn't cause the explosion. You did it yourselves.
That's it. You did it yourselves. Yeah, that's a good moment there. And you're like, oh, okay. And that brings it all together at the end. I like that.
I wish he'd made more of that, actually.
So, David, is this your least favourite Third Doctor story?
I think it probably is. There are a few others that I would categorise, but I do think this is not very good. But it is interesting having heard everybody else's opinion. Like this is the thing that I like about Doctor Who is someone else's dominators can be someone else's keys of Marinus, So that's nice. So I'm glad. I'm glad Sarah enjoyed it.
And maybe it's because of the edition I watched.
Yeah.
So, Richard, compared to other John Pertwee stories you've seen, how does this compare?
I mean, to be honest, this one was just inoffensive. I felt it was sort of a middle of the road one to me. I mean, I've seen another later John Pertwee, which I know I hated. So but I mean,
Claws of Axos.
I didn't like Claws of Axos as well, actually.
Oh, that's a surprise.
No, I didn't like that. I can't remember why. I watched it ages ago now, but whenever we watch one, David gets me to score it out of 10. So there's an interesting list of my ongoing opinions on that.
Okay.
You will say, though, what's your highest rated?
My highest rated is The Mind Robber.
Yes, we love The Mind Robber.
And so, Sarah, out of 10, what are you giving this?
5.
Okay.
It's not like top of the... Look, I think I expect more because it's the start of the season. It was not, we've got the... It's not nice having the Daleks back. They're there, aren't they? But I agree. They didn't really add anything. It could have been any other baddie.
Oh, well, shall I tell you the name of the next story coming up then?
Yeah.
Okay. It's 4 episodes.
Right.
And it's called The Curse of Peladon.
Oh.
So what are you thinking might happen in that?
I feel like it might be off Earth again, which I'm excited about.
Well, we better head off. Mrs. Paget is outside. She needs to lock up. She's got things to do, hasn't she? So
don't we all?
Yeah. Got to watch the next story now.
How many episodes is it?
4.
Okay.
That's fine.
That's fun.
And we better be off Back to the Future because we're going to stop at a Little Chief on the way, I think, aren't we?
Yeah.
We don't want to.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, before you head off, thank you very much for joining us on this story.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah.
First time podcaster. There we go.
Oh, brilliant. Excellent. Well, you'll have to...
Welcome to the world. The dark place to be.
Rocking in a chair.
And thank you, Richard, for watching Day of the Daleks. I hope it wasn't too of a bad experience watching this story.
It was worth it for this.
And David, you're going to be back a bit later on in the season for another story.
Yes.
Exciting times ahead.
Yeah.
And where can people find you on Twitter?
So my Twitter is Mrs. Remington Fan.
Okay, yep. And, wait till we get to explain to Sarah about Mrs. Remington.
Literally wetting my pants with excitement. I cannot wait. If she does not win an Oscar, I will be...
You'll never be on again.
No, I'll be fuming. Absolutely fuming.
Cool, okay. And yeah, we will see you next week for The Curse of Peladon. In the meantime, you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at 2watchwho, and you can support us on buymeacoffee.com/2watchwho. See you next week. Bye.
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 2 Watch Who.